Hello, hello. What is going on, everybody out there? Hope you guys are having a good day. OG, I see you tuned in. What's up, man? How you doing? Hoping it was a good day at work. Yeah, hoping everything's going good out there with everybody. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I am Citizen Pete, here to break down some politics and stuff. For a lot of you guys, this might be the first time checking out my actual live show. So what I usually do is kind of do these taped, or do these kind of like live shows, I should say, and then kind of put those segments out throughout the week. But yeah, this is the regular kind of Citizen Pete live. It's been a little bit different lately with the chaos going on and at the Capitol. It's definitely been kind of different. But I planned on doing more live events for sure. But this is kind of like the regular show. So as we all try to get back to normal, it's nice to kind of get back to normal here. Now, if you haven't already, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. I'd very much appreciate it. Here we like to talk politics, and I like to do so with a nice little fine beverage. It's Friday, right? And it's after 5 o'clock where I'm at, so hey, you should hopefully it is where you're at too. Tonight it is some nice red wine. I thought about going something a little bit harder, but to be honest with you, there's been a lot of hard drinks this week. It has been a very, very rough week in American politics for sure. And if you have survived, I drink a little bit for you there. And the breaking news that if you haven't heard today is that the NRA has actually gone bankrupt. I haven't had time to put a whole segment together for them, but yes, if you are looking for some breaking news, the NRA is bankrupt. I'll definitely have more on that in the future, but for an organization that used money to really influence politics and kind of force conservative politicians to do what they wanted to do, that's quite the feat. But anyway, on to the main show. Again, if you haven't already, do me a favor and like and subscribe. So in case you haven't noticed or didn't see the impeachment proceedings this week, it is official. President Trump's presidency is now over. And here's how things started.
This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
And here is how it's going.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength.
Pull them this way. Pull them forward.
Yes, little did we know the carnage was actually just beginning. So Trump promised not to be your average normal politician, and he's actually kind of filled that promise by becoming the first president to be impeached twice. Yes, I'm sure you've heard that ad nauseum over the last couple of days, but yes, he is the first president to have been impeached twice. For the first time, for that perfect call to Ukraine, which if you forgot that was around this time last year. If Trump did get reelected, he would probably maybe have have an impeachment every January. But he was impeached back then for basically calling Ukraine and withholding government aid until he got some dirt on Joe Biden or wanted them to open an investigation into Joe Biden to hurt him politically. One thing I think that was not talked about enough during that impeachment process was that foreign aid was $400 million for military assets, right? For Ukrainians to defend themselves against Russia. And so theoretically, people may have died because of that delay. But the second impeachment attempt is for the insurrection attempt at the Capitol, in which 5 people died. And they attempt to shut down the certification process and essentially overturn the 2020 election. Obviously, that did not happen, and Biden will be sworn in on the 20th. So the question is, why will they, why impeach Trump with just a few days left in office, and will they actually convict? Well, the interesting thing this time around is that Mitch McConnell actually seems to be on board. Apparently, the rumor is up to 20 Republican senators are also on board. I guess it kind of takes sheltering in place together to really get them to come together against Trump. Better late than never. And so I think as we're trying to figure out what the tea leaves here, the big thing about why they want to impeach Trump and potentially convict Trump is that if he's convicted, he will not be allowed to hold office again, assuming they vote to do that. There's actually two votes. They vote to convict, and then they vote to make sure you can't hold office again. And so, you know, it seems like a bit of a long shot, but, you know, really this impeachment is really about removing Trump. I mean, obviously they want to make sure that no president again can get away with this kind of shit, essentially. But for a lot of conservatives, it's about making sure Trumpism doesn't go on any further. Now, for me, they'll probably convict, but I don't think they're actually going to get rid of Trump. I don't think they can just, you know, even if Trump is barred from ever holding office again, he's not going anywhere. You know, he owns the Republican Party. He has so much support, and his supporters are not shy about just how much they believe some of his lies. And, you know, honestly, a lot of Congress members, they have a lot of reason to kind of live in fear of him.
I have colleagues who are now traveling with armed escorts out of the fear for their safety. Many of us are altering our routines, working to get body armor, which is a reimbursable purchase that we can make. It's sad that we have to get to that point, but, you know, our expectation is that someone may try to kill us.
Yeah, it is a very sad thing. Weird thing that they threw in there that's a reimbursable purchase, but whatever. Okay. But anyway, yes. So these Republican senators are, you know, they're trying to just get rid of Trump, purge him from the party. The problem is right now, if you look at polling right now among the Republican Party, Trump has around 42% of support if he runs again in 2024. And so we'll see. He still is in very much control of the Republican Party, even though he's losing support after this insurrection attempt. Also, the senators are probably betting that, you know, they just got reelected, right? So they're hoping it's going to blow over in 6 years. I mean, they have a lot of political windfall now because the ones that were just elected in 2020, barring them being kicked out of Congress, which is very unlikely, they don't have to worry about the angry Republican mob for potentially 6 years. So they've got a lot of wind at their back. And because this is something that's also very important to realize here, because major brands are now refusing to support Republican candidates because of the insurrection attempt, they have to distance themselves from that attempt, right? I mean, they need money to run their campaigns, and if they are barred from access to, you know, getting corporate funding, or people are kind of don't want to support this sedition, I mean, that can hurt them politically. So that's another reason why they're finally turning against Trump. But I kind of find it hard to believe that the base would just forget in 6 years, you know, if they did vote against him. But we'll see. The trial won't start at least until January 19th, and potentially not longer, could be longer than that. Biden has a cabinet to confirm, COVID bills to pass, and so there's a potential the House might not actually give it to the Senate for a while, and we probably won't know for a while. But what we do know is this is a preview of post-presidency life for Donald Trump. You know, he can. He said he would. There's rumors that he would resign and pardon himself, but he actually supposedly doesn't trust Pence enough to pardon him. But that just kind of shows where Trump's at now, and just kind of the level of how much this is really hitting home for his post-presidency life, and that, you know, he could actually face charges for inciting this riot. Not likely, but it's definitely possible. There's criminal proceedings perhaps in New York. And so impeachment is really the wake-up call that Trump's post-presidency life is going to suck. But if you want to keep up with it all, do me a favor. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll make sure to stay on top of it for all of y'all. Hey, what's going on? Checking in with the chat here. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Hold on one sec. See, yeah, 5 more days, baby. We are getting close. And can I talk about the Insurrection Act and Military Tribunal? I definitely will, but that actually will be coming up a little bit later on in the show. I'll get to more of that, and you know, I think Trump has actually been planning this for a long time and has been kind of playing his moves out for a while to kind of set the stage for that insurrection attempt. But hey, keep the comments coming. I definitely want to know what you guys are all thinking. But of course, and if I've said it once, I'll say it many times. Do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. I also have a Twitter page. If you are on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at CitizenPete101. I just had the here we go. So yeah, I just had to pull it on up. Yeah, follow me on the Twitter machine. I don't know if you guys follow Twitter, but Twitter is a ton of fun, and I post all kinds of stuff. But if you see on there, it's interesting. I have only 21 followers, just kind of starting a little small. I'm very new to Twitter. But as someone pointed out, I got more followers than Donald Trump now. So if you haven't heard, Trump has basically been banned on everything. Every social media app out there is banning Trump. He's, of course, off Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so no more Trump selfies. YouTube, so if you're watching this on YouTube, at Real Donald Trump is, he's not going to be around. Pinterest has banned Donald Trump, which I didn't know he was big on Pinterest. You know, also Twitch has banned him, so he won't be gaming anytime soon. And one of the most surprising ones to me is Spotify. Spotify has banned Trump, so I guess no more of this.
Better, stronger, bigger, better, stronger, bigger, better, stronger, bigger, better.
Anyway, that's not from his real thing. But I'm like, I couldn't find anything actually on Spotify related to Trump, so I'm like, did they just ban him before he got on Spotify? I don't know. Still trying to figure that one out. TikTok also banned Trump before Trump could ban TikTok, which is interesting. The PJ is apparently banning, not going to hold a tournament at any of Trump's courses in 22, including a championship at Bedminster. But it's not just Trump. Parler is getting canceled too. Apple and Google, and apparently anyone that works with the tech giants, is cutting Parler off.
Our apps, but they're actually shutting all of our servers off tonight, off the internet. So they made an attempt to not only kill the apps, but to actually destroy the entire company. And it's not just these three companies. Every vendor from text message services to email providers to our lawyers all ditched us too on the same day.
So as you can see from the graphic there, welcome to The Purge. Big fan of those movies. But the thing is, and this might seem like censorship, it might seem like they're just getting kicked off all these apps, but, you know, the thing with those Parler guys is that you can have a social media company without Amazon, Google, or Apple. The thing is, Parler's owners just aren't that smart. They had an idea for this app, but they don't know anything about actually running the app. They were just like, well, I guess we can just hand it off to Amazon and use their servers. Thing is, those aren't the only servers in the world. So if they could actually figure it out, I mean, if they were smart enough to figure it out, they probably will. But it's one of those things. Those companies just didn't want to work with them anymore, right? That's not censorship. It's capitalism. It's free market, right? And you might not be able to get Parler on your phone, but there's this little thing called the computer. If you're a millennial out there, you can ask the boomers about it. But if you still want to get on Parler, and if they get the site back up, then you can go on your computer. So, but again, this isn't about censorship. What this is about is, you know, people were going on Parler and they were using it as a forum to not only, you know, say crazy shit, attack people, but they're using it as a forum to spread hate. And that's essentially what, that's essentially why they got shut down. Apple and Google, they both gave Parler the opportunity to moderate their content, and they said no. And so that's why they got pulled off. I follow an account on Twitter called @ParlerTakes, and so I can show you guys some of the colorful content that's on there. Attention Patriots, echo if you want to kill Jeff Bezos. Yes, yeah, that's not censorship to make sure that that's not on the internet anymore. Okay. Amazon employees call for company to cut ties with Parler. If you work for Amazon and drive for them, you're dead fucking terrorists. And of course, all journalists here all journalists are soft targets and are fair game in the coming revolution. Don't be afraid to take reporters down by any means. I don't know if I count in this one. I don't know if they're calling YouTubers the same kind of thing. But yeah, that one had me a little convinced. And this one here, it's a little hard to read. I'm trying to blow it up for you. But basically what they're saying is that, yeah, if you're ready to storm the Capitol, or if you're heading to D.C. on the 6th, get your affairs in order, because we are going to fight like hell. And basically saying that, hey, if you're going there, let's go. What this post is calling for is for them to kill the traitors. Again, sorry, I know that's a little small for you, a little hard to read there. But see, now after all of this supposed censorship, conservatives are real pissed.
The American people are being censored. Conservatives are being censored. The information that's flowing to the American people is being censored.
He knows that he's saying that on TV, right? Like he's saying that on television to millions of people that can tune in there, right? Also, the last thing to kind of break up this censorship bullshit, frankly, is here's a look from the Twitter account that monitors the top 10 performing link posts on Facebook. And as you can see, the top of those are conservatives. See, for a lot of those folks who maybe were on Parler, they've basically just gone back to Facebook. And it's interesting, Parler in general is already having problems because for a lot of conservatives, the reason I'm posting crazy stuff on social media is so that they can have liberals to own. Well, there's not a whole lot of liberals on Parler, so kind of seemed a little limited anyway. And someone also said that it's a little ridiculous that I, Citizen Pete, with my 300 followers, which is not much, have more access to the people than Trump. But that's also total bullshit. Now, this might seem shocking to some of you guys out there, but the presidents haven't always had Twitter or Facebook. Did you think before George Washington crossed the Potomac, he was sharing some dope-ass memes? Or you think Lincoln took selfies before the Gettysburg Address? Even Obama, even President Obama, which came right before Trump, number 44, wasn't exactly as keen on the social medias.
Huh. She's got Snapchat. Obamacare is great.
Obamacare is great, and it's really working.
No?
No.
Now, I know that was just a skit, but really, it's kind of fun when I was looking back at those clips. Obama really went all out for Obamacare. Whether you like it or not, whether you support it or not, he went all out there for it. I mean, have you seen Trump really out fighting for anything? I mean, yeah, he's been going on and on about the border wall, but Obama was everywhere trying to promote Obamacare. And yeah, it's kind of nice to see that devotion. But anyway, yeah, that was a fun skit. But yes, there's this thing called the White House press corps. Trump can literally call up the press corps anytime he wants. They follow his every move. So if he wants to talk to the people, it's right there. Right? And so, again, this is not censorship, right? This is about removing harmful content. And the thing is, these companies have been removing harmful content for years. But Trump just gets away with everything because he's the president. But he won't be for much longer. Now, the last thing I want to, mention on this topic is that I hear, you see a lot of people, a lot of conservatives who are angry about this, but they also claim to love capitalism and the free market. They just don't like it when the free market does something that they don't like, which is the definition of a hypocrisy. I mean, they say they're against government regulation, against the government telling people what to do. And so then the free market says, okay, let's ban Trump from everything. Oh, well, no. These companies have too much power now. They have way too much power. We need to rein them in. It's been a shocking about face. But, it's, what can I say? It's just some crazy, I'm just like, do they look back and forth to see the crazy things they said from here to there? I mean, this is all on video, right? So, but I guess the hypocrisy doesn't get to them, right? They don't realize it. But anyway, do me a favor. Comment, let me know what you think here, and like and subscribe to the channel. So just checking in with your comments here. Yeah, exactly. The thing about the Parler and the purge of accounts means that the people will go deeper underground and plot with heavily encrypted programs. That's definitely true. That's definitely an important thing to remember about the Parler stuff. There is that, yeah, people are still going to find ways to plot hate. And the harder part with Parler, though, is that it allows so many more people to, being a mainstream app, it allowed so many people to kind of come together and hate together. Whereas on the dark web, they can do that, but there was nothing to really bring all those groups together on one platform and make it so accessible and kind of give these far right-wing extremists, they could be, reposted, or they could kind of collaborate or talk with folks who are more well-known in the conservative media kind of atmosphere there, right? So it gave them a lot of credibility, which they maybe didn't have before. And since Parler was not willing to moderate their content, if anyone was planning an attack on anything on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, Facebook will go after them, right? So it's not a breeding ground for these attacks. It's not a planning place for these attacks. But that's what Parler was, and that's what it became. And so that's why it essentially got shut down. But don't worry, and I actually have seen a lot of stuff. There's actually another interesting story I meant to put in there, but I didn't feel like I had the time. But Parler actually they thought it was a very secure app, but someone hacked it, and basically Parler has saved everyone's data. You needed to upload your driver's license to Parler, I believe, to sign up for an account, or something like that. But they verified, someone had hacked into Parler, got all this information, and gave it to authorities. And that's why you've seen them be able to track down so many of the folks who stormed the Capitol now, is they have all that Parler data. And so, it's been kind of funny to watch them go after people, get them so quickly. But as we shift on to keep shifting on through the show, and enjoy a nice little sip of wine there. This show's pretty much dominated by the events that what happened at the Capitol. If you're just tuning into the show, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. I would very much appreciate it. Talking about a lot that's going on with the Capitol, and I covered the whole thing live. And if there's any craziness, I'll cover it again. But like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, and you can follow along too. So before Wednesday, I thought the United States Capitol was one of the most secure buildings in the entire world. And so, I was shocked when people actually got into the building. It was one of those things. I'm watching these pictures and seeing people come in, and it blew my mind, right? Now, the first thing, I've been trying to figure out exactly why, and I've come up with three main points of why they were able to get into the building, or why they were so successful in actually storming the Capitol. First, I think it became obvious to the officers there that they were going to be overwhelmed. And so their goal for them is to protect Congress, not the Capitol. And so they quickly abandoned the building to protect the members. And so I think that's why you saw a lot of folks, when I was doing the live stream itself, you saw a lot of cops coming in and out. And it seemed like, okay, where are all these cops going? And it seemed like, okay, they're actually going to get members out. And obviously they're sacrificing the building there to protect the Congress members. Another thing that I think has come out about this is that the mob may have actually had a bit of help getting into the building and knowing where to go, right?
Really shocked when I got into the House office building and saw these groups inside. And what was so shocking is as you mentioned, visitors aren't allowed in the Capitol complex. Since March, since the start of COVID, the only way these people could have gotten into the Capitol complex was with a member or that member's staff. And we now know that those violent groups that attacked the Capitol complex had inside knowledge of the Capitol grounds.
Yes, inside knowledge of the Capitol grounds that you probably would only be able to get from actually being there. So it's a question of, and again, as you said, the Capitol being locked because of COVID, it's a question of how so many people seem to know, before the actual Insurrection Act there, Congress people led people on tours of Congress. And I've actually been able to go do one of those private tours myself. It is awesome. Contact your congressional representative if you want to check it out. But yeah, you really kind of get an inside tour of the Capitol, and it helps explain why some of these people were able to find some of these offices and things that are very difficult to locate. That was definitely a question that I had, is that, how were they able to get to some of these offices here? I mean, if you go through the Capitol, and there's a lot of hidden things that unless you've been there before, you probably wouldn't know it's actually there. Another thing that people are kind of looking at is freshman Senator Lauren Boebert. I maybe not doing good with that name, but she's essentially the right's kind of version of AOC. She's a freshman senator, or freshman congresswoman, and she's getting a lot of attention herself. Not all of it good. So during the storming of the Capitol, she actually live tweeted the location of the House members and of Nancy Pelosi. And there are some allegations out there that she was trying to give the location for the mob that was bearing down on the Capitol. We'll see. The FBI is investigating all of this. So far, I've actually had one of you guys send me an article today. Good old OG, appreciate you, saying that they haven't actually charged anyone, or they have not said that there's any concrete evidence that any House members participated in the planning of this attack, right? So, but there's still they have a lot to investigate there. And the interesting thing about them going after so many people, or getting so many people arrested now, is that they can basically get all of their information, right? They can look at their digital their digital profiles and see if there has been any communication there, because they're probably not going to be able to actually, there's concepts for Congress people about whether or not you can, subpoena them and get documents from them. It's a whole process. But these people who just mobbed the Capitol, they don't have those kind of protections. And so the authorities are looking through all that stuff now to see if there's potential criminality there, if there was potential, if they were working with Congress folks there. But we're just going to have to wait and see until they actually see if they find something, right? And the last thing that I want to get to about why the security at the Capitol was just so lax, and that comes down to President Trump. Now, a lot of folks say Trump is stupid, and I've said many times he's not stupid. Sometimes he's just crazy. Yeah, sometimes he's crazy like a fox, right? And sometimes he's just crazy like a crazy person. But there might not seem like a plan, but there usually is. And this week, I finally got why, after Trump lost the 2020 election, even though he didn't tell people publicly that he lost, but he knew he lost, the first thing he did was this.
President Trump has done something. He's fired Defense Secretary Mark Esper. The president announced the news on Twitter, writing Esper had been, quote, terminated.
Oh, and Esper was not the first person from the Pentagon to go.
Meanwhile, President Trump is purging the top ranks of the Pentagon after firing Defense Secretary Mark Esper. At least 3 top defense officials were forced out yesterday, and staunch loyalists to the president are set to replace them.
Yes, when Trump's not been making up bullshit about the election, he's been purging people at the Pentagon. Now, at first, I thought this was a move to make it easier to pull troops from overseas, to try to, fulfill campaign promise there. But after seeing what happened at the Capitol, I'm starting to wonder if there was another intent in mind.
I got a phone call from House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, who was calling me saying that he and Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer were all together in an undisclosed bunker they've been spirited off to some undisclosed location, that the U.S. Capitol Police was overwhelmed, that there was no federal law enforcement presence, and that the leaders of Congress were pleading with me as the governor of Maryland for assistance from Maryland's National Guard and State Police. However, we were repeatedly denied approval to do so. Under federal law, the mayor of the District of Columbia does not have authority over the Guard, and we must receive approval from the Secretary of Defense before we're able to send our Maryland National Guard across the border.
So to be clear, The reason why the police at the Capitol were overwhelmed and Congress had to shelter in place for hours was because Trump loyalists at the Pentagon didn't sign off on federal help from Maryland. That was the governor of Maryland there. And so that is why it took so long for help to arrive. I mean, I don't know if you've been to D.C., but Maryland is not very far. So they could have been there very quickly, but again, had to wait for hours. And so when we look at these scenes, of people at the Capitol, it's clear why they were essentially screwed. The security was lax. They didn't have, they weren't prepared for sure, but they also had a lot of factors going against them. And again, the police job their main job is not to protect the building, but to protect members of Congress. And luckily, no member of Congress actually passed away, even though they were apparently evacuated from the Senate chamber just 1 minute before it was breached. And to be honest, all of this kind of reminds you of something I saw on NBC News a while back with Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen.
So Donald Trump will do anything and everything within which to win. And I believe that includes manipulating the ballots. I believe that he would even go so far as to start a war in order to prevent himself from being removed.
So before, I thought that was just talk, Cohen trying to sell his book or his podcast. But now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if that coup attempt was, exactly that, even though that might seem like a hyperbole to some. But Trump will be president for 5 more days now. 5 more days as the commander-in-chief, 5 more days with the nuclear codes, and 5 more days with loyalists at the Pentagon. What could possibly go wrong? But hey, let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, like and subscribe to the channel, and I want to know what you guys are thinking about with the craziness that's going on at the Capitol. All right, checking in with some of your comments here. Will the hacked data be admissible in court? I believe you're, referring to the hacked data from Parler. Yes, it will. I used to work in the news back in the day. I used to work at a news station. It's very interesting what can be admissible and not admissible in court, but the laws don't make a whole lot of sense. Like for us, for the media, right? If, as a journalist, I was to break into the White House and find some horribly damaging thing on Trump, right? I could get a lot of trouble, and I could get serious, legal trouble for doing that. But if I took that information I had or whatever I had and handed it to NBC News on my way out of the White House or something like that, NBC can report it, no problem. It's a weird legal thing. I'm not exactly sure why. But the laws are, if you actually, stole something or did something illegal, you might be in trouble. Like that hacker that got the Parler data, he could be in some legal trouble. But for law enforcement using it, they're totally fine. They make the rules, so what are you going to do? Let's see, I thought that too. I'm just trying to read this one here. Yeah, the Dutch capital being more secure. I have not seen the Dutch capital, but I imagine it'd be pretty cool. There's a lot of cool architecture there and stuff. But I wanted to. I wanted to. I think my favorite thing I saw on Twitter from that whole day. I mean, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of bad things, but one actually funny thing I saw on there was someone took a Cheeto and they put it by as if it was like locking a bolt, and they're like, "This is the Capitol Police right now." I thought it was just like the funniest thing. Horrible day, but you gotta laugh at some stuff, right? I mean, it's one of those things. They did not stop them from storming the building there. Oh, dog going crazy. But they did save Congress, so that is a good thing. But yeah, we'll keep rolling on along here as we go throughout the show. And as we go throughout the show, I'm going to keep asking people to like and subscribe to the channel. try to talk a lot of fun politics here. I try to go in depth on things and try to put some historical perspective like I will for this next story. But if you want some more of that, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, share, and leave me a comment. So if there's a word to definitely sum up 2020, it would of course be pandemic. But the runner-up would for sure be unprecedented, right? Everything seems to be unprecedented nowadays. And to be honest, challenging the certifications is not actually unprecedented. Democrats did it back in 2004 for vastly different reasons, and they were not actually trying to overturn the results. I mean, there was only a couple, I believe, congressional Democrats that challenged, challenged the results, but the certification challenge is not new. Neither is insurrection of a democratically elected government here in the United States. That is also not unprecedented. So before we get to that, let me bring up some facts about the 117th Congress. Let me see if I can pull this up here for you. It is a very historic Congress for a lot of reasons. As we kind of scroll through here, get down to some of the bullet points. And so, as we look at this Congress, it is actually one of the most diverse Congresses in history. Cori Bush is the first black woman from Missouri. Richie Torres is the first black gay member of Congress. Oh, here we go. That's what I was going to. Mondari Jones is the first black man who identifies as gay to be elected to Congress from I believe it's from the state of New York. Let's also go. But this Congress also has the most black members ever in this Congress right here. There's also the most Latino members, and there is also the most LGBTQ members in history in this Congress. So yes, this Congress is historically diverse. But as they say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Clearly, attack on the Capitol was about the 2020 election, but I think it's a sign of something bigger. And I can't help but notice a lot of people who stormed the Capitol saying the same thing.
This is our country. This is our house. That's it. This is our house. This is our country. This is our country.
See, they're not just mad about losing the election. This mob that is mostly made up of white people, let's be honest, are mad about this country being stolen from them. So they stormed the 117th Congress, again, the most diverse Congress in American history. But it's not the first time this has happened in American history. In the South, after Reconstruction following the Civil War, African Americans in Wilmington, North Carolina, began to get political power. I had some nice pictures of this up, but I forgot to load them. But hey, what you gonna do? Anyway, in 1898, they won elections in Wilmington, North Carolina, as part of the Republican Party. Things have changed a little bit. Anyway, that didn't sit too well with a few white folks in the South. So they lost the election fair and square, but they decided to stage a violent rebellion against the democratically elected government. It's not clear how many people died, but historians think around 60 were killed and thousands displaced. They basically just went around destroying anything that was black, including black-owned businesses that they just burned to the ground. In the end, the mob made it to City Hall and forced the city council, mayor, and police chief to resign at gunpoint. And so if this is where you think, okay, the federal government came in to save the day and rescue this town of Wilmington, nope, nothing like that ever happened. The coup was successful. It worked. And again, I think the insurrection at the Capitol was about the 2020 election, but a part of what made Trump and what has brought Trump to popularity is the growing diversity in America. If Barack Obama was all about change, then Trump was all about turning that change back, right? There's a lot of people who do not want change. A lot of people who feel like this country is being stolen from them. And the thing is, these people who think this way have been around here for a long time. And they can be banned off Twitter, and they can be shut off apps like Parler, but they're not going anywhere. But the key is, Neither are we, right? So we got to go out and vote. We got to be part of the system and, fight for what we believe in. And also, it might help too if you like and subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And oh, gee, that is right. That's the point I was getting before. They are protected under the Whistleblower Act, which, unfortunately, I think there has maybe been some undermining to the Whistleblower Act in the last couple of years. It seems like, especially after the Colonel Vindman during the impeachment process, he did not get a whole lot of whistleblower protections there. And so, that's been gutted a little bit. But hey, we're having a new administration come in, so I'll stick on the positive side. So before we get to our next story, I'm gonna have a nice little glass of wine. Let me know what you guys are drinking out there. It's Friday night. Hopefully you guys are enjoying a nice little beverage. Always a good way to wrap up the week there. It is good stuff. Good old red wine. So as we get to our next story, hopefully this doesn't get old, but hey, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave a little like, and, I'll let you know what's going on. But before we check on what's going on at the Capitol as we get ready for the inauguration, let's take a quick look at what's happening overseas. I think this is very, very interesting here. And so, overseas right now, in Iraq and Afghanistan, there's about 2,500 troops in each country. Okay, so there's 2,500 troops in Iraq, 2,500 troops in Afghanistan. Now, the move, which was surprising, came after Mark Esper was fired, and I thought it was to fulfill a campaign promise that Trump made to basically give us out of foreign wars, or just an attempt to screw the Biden administration. Either way, again, there's 5,000 troops in both countries. Now, if you haven't taken a look at Washington, D.C. right now, there's a total of 15,000 National Guard troops in the nation's capital. And that is supposed to be up to 20,000 by Inauguration Day. And I just recently saw that will be 25,000 by Inauguration Day, which is a lot. And so the crazy thing about this is there are more troops in Washington, D.C. right now defending the Capitol than there are in Iraq and Afghanistan combined, which blows my mind. It's just crazy. And the thing is, the thing on everyone's mind right now is, will there be another attack? Will there be violent protests? And honestly, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. So they've enacted special rules in DC like they do around the Super Bowl. So basically, they can stop anyone for anything and question them. So it's not like people are going to be able to easily organize there. Around the DC area, they have been shutting down hotels, stopping people from coming in. Airlines have been banning folks from bringing firearms to the Capitol. If you're trying to go anywhere around DC, they will not let you check a firearm. And so they're doing a lot to make sure that Biden's inauguration goes off smoothly. But the thing is, and so I don't think anyone's going to be storming the United States Capitol. But the thing is, there's a lot of other capitals across the country. There's 50 other capitals around the United States. And so organizers across the country are putting together, planning protests at all of these state capitals. And so I think we're more likely to see violence there. But I still don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to get as bad as people say, especially after I saw this today.
I beg you to pray for safety for this president and the next president and all those in Washington and all over our country. Inauguration Day must be peaceful. Otherwise, it's going to, everything I've warned you is going to happen as soon as next week if it's not peaceful.
So if you don't recognize that guy there, that is Glenn Beck. He was formerly one of the most prominent conservatives on Fox Media until he said some shit that was too crazy. and he got kicked off, but so did his own network, so he seems to be doing very well for himself. But he, that's the thing, he is basically saying that there shouldn't be any violence, because if there's violence, then that gives Democrats more power to do things like maybe go after the Second Amendment or put in an assault rifle ban, stuff like that. So they're really hoping that that doesn't happen, because hey, no matter what happens in the coming days, Democrats are assuming power in the presidency and in the Congress, so they'll be able to make quite a bit of changes. But we might not see violence this weekend, but we're definitely entering in a violent time in American politics. And yeah, I was really shocked to have seen this.
I have colleagues who are now traveling with armed escorts out of the fear for their safety. Many of us are altering our routines, working to get body armor, which is a reimbursable purchase that we can make. It's sad that we have to get to that point, but our expectation is that someone may try to kill us.
Yes, that is a sitting member of Congress, a Republican sitting member of Congress, afraid his constituents are going to kill him. Yeah, we're entering a very dark time in American politics. But again, I am hopeful that nothing bad is going to happen this weekend. But who knows? I actually did a segment about what would happen on January 6th. And I basically was like, yeah, they're going to get together, they're going to scream, they're going to do all this stuff. But be a bunch of ado about nothing. And I was wrong. I was real wrong about that one. And it wouldn't be the first time I was wrong. So I hope nothing happens. But again, we'll see. But hey, do me a favor, like and subscribe and comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think there's going to be violence this weekend? Yeah, let me know. Yeah, appreciate you, man, on the echo thing. That was super annoying. Basically, as I'm trying to do more live events, how I have my setup is that I have a computer here, another computer here that I can kind of pull up live feeds and all that stuff. But I have another computer that I run the stream off of, and so I use that computer to play audio from videos and other things. And well, it's also but it also is playing my audio here from my mic. And so the thing I'm trying to figure out is how do I separate the audio on my computer, even though it's coming from essentially the same source. I don't know. I'm working on it. But yeah, that's essentially what was going on with the echo there. But yeah, I'm glad that the echo is thankfully gone. But as we move on along, we'll get to our last story of the evening here. And I think it is one that is very, very interesting for sure. So as we get into the last story, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. I very much appreciate it, and I'll keep an eye on stuff, because this story was kind of an interesting one to put together. But before I get into the actual story itself, do you babysit kids, or do you have any kids of your own? And when they get in trouble, it's always kind of funny. They always seem to say and do the same things, right? First, they blame someone else.
Some pretty compelling evidence from a facial recognition company showing that some of the people who breached the Capitol today were not Trump supporters. They were masquerading as Trump supporters, and in fact, were members of the violent terrorist group Antifa. Now, we should seek to build...
Yes, and when they're not out there blaming others, then they're saying, oh, well, what about this? What about that? And as Candace Owen liked to point out on her Twitter account, what about the BLM protests in the Capitol this summer? I mean, I remember seeing those. I don't remember them holding Congress hostage, but hey, what about those, right? So yeah, it's very funny to see members of the conservative Congress or members of Congress and the media out there acting like children. But yes, they said when the Capitol got stormed, they said that was not Antifa. They said that was not MAGA, that was Antifa. And Black Lives Matter, that was really the storm. They were really storming the Capitol, even though it was, again, mostly white folks out there. And everyone was wearing MAGA hats and Trump flags and all this stuff. But really, it was all Antifa. And so I've been digging into this, and I actually found a guy. Yes, this is John Sullivan. Meet John Sullivan there. Now, John started a little group called Insurgents USA after George Floyd was killed. And John calls himself a anti-fascist, which, to be honest, we're all anti-fascists, right? And as he pointed out in his interview about it, was that, hey, he's not a big fan of Hitler. He was a fascist. The United States and the Axis fought Hitler. So we are the anti-fascists. That's what he's talking about. But yes, he has started a group to, basically fight for Black Lives. So while technically not a member of BLM, he is a Black Lives supporting Black Lives Matter activist. So yes, we have found the guy. And again, so far, as of this broadcast, there have been 275 people who have been charged with storming the Capitol. And we found one. That is BLM and Antifa. Just one. Now, if you think that it really was BLM and Antifa who stormed the Capitol, you're just telling everyone that because, you're just telling everyone that you'll believe anything. That the world is flat, that Trump's hair is real. I mean, seriously, you guys want us to think that this guy is Antifa or Black Lives Matter?
This is like a global takeover. They're trying to create a new world order, right? They're trying to create a one world government. That means there's like over 180 countries involved in all this stuff, where they're monopolizing all the resources, all the labor in the country through the central banking system, okay? And that enslaves the whole country through debt to whoever owns a central bank, all right?
That guy keeps going on like that for 10 minutes. 10 whole minutes. And I listened to it. And I needed a drink after doing so to get through it all. But yes, that guy is definitely not any way associated with Black Lives Matter or Antifa. And apparently he has also been arrested and is having a tough time in jail because he's a vegan and apparently they don't serve kale. Tough shit, I guess. Anyway, this whole thing about it being BLM or Antifa is really a sign about how people are thinking, right? People aren't looking for... People are looking for validation. They're not looking for information. Okay, so what I'm saying there is that conservative media, conservative politicians, and conservative commentators can't let what happened on Wednesday happen and make it like it did for everyone else. Like, we all saw those images. We all saw people storming the Capitol. But for a lot of folks out there on the right, it can't look that way, right? So they're looking for a way to validate what happened, right? So, they're the good guys, and the things that they've been talking about for a while that actually helped incite this riot. Again, that's not all. It's not all as it seems, right? So they're trying to throw doubt in there. They're looking for a way to make sure that they're the good guys, and the others are enemies, and they'll find anything they can to prove their point. They can't claim to back the blue when people in the mob literally beat cops with the American flag, right? And, people buy into it again because they don't care about the truth. They just care about being right, which is unfortunate, which is not how any of this is supposed to work. But hey, 2020 was a weird year, and 2021 only seems to get more interesting. If you want to keep up with it all, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. All right, that was a wrap on the show there. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So I've gotten a little bit more of subscribers, a little more of a following after this whole Capitol protest thing. So this is the first time I kind of did the show, kind of live tweeting and having live people, live chat going on. So it's been a bit of a learning experience, but I've definitely enjoyed it so far. But hey, I keep mentioning it. I might have to figure out a way to not mention it as much, but. Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you can. Maybe share it. Let your friends know. I very much appreciate it. But again, there might be some protests, some stuff going on in the Capitol, or really all throughout the capitals around the country this weekend. I'll stay on top of it for you and bring it to you live if and when that does happen. I thought it would happen tomorrow on Saturday, but the word is that it's probably going to happen starting on Sunday. we'll see. I don't know. I'm basically going to be watching it all weekend for you when I'm not watching football. But hey, thanks so much hanging out with me on a Friday night. I will be back next week and back with more fun stories and Citizen Pete. Thanks for checking it out, y'all.